So, you just got an airbrush and you're ready to take your miniatures to the next level. Well, hold off on grabbing your models and paints just yet. The first thing I recommend is getting familiar with the tool using just water. It may sound boring, but this step is key to building control and avoiding frustration later on. Stick around till the end because I'll show you everything you need to know to get started with confidence. From control and thinning to simple real model applications like priming, shading and color correction. Hopefully you picked up a dual action airbrush. That means we can control both air and paint flow with the same trigger. Here is how it works. Push down on the trigger to release air. Then pull back to release paint. Easy enough, but there is a technique to it. To avoid clogs or blobs of paint splattering onto your model, you need to start and end each spray with air only. That means down, air, back, paint, forward, cut the paint, up, stop the air. If you pull back before air is flowing, paint will pull at the tip and shoot out in blobs. If you stop the air while paint is still flowing, it builds up and dries on the tip, leading to clogs. So remember, down, back, forward, up. Practice that rhythm. It is the foundation of clean airbrushing. Now that you got the motion down, let's talk about the relationship between distance, paint flow and pressure. The more you pull back on the trigger, the more paint comes out. Spraying from farther away creates a larger, softer spray pattern. Spraying close up gives you more precision and concentration of paint. Pressure plays a big role also. A higher PSI helps push the paint through and prevents clogs. But too much pressure, especially when spraying too close to the model, can cause spider webbing. That's when paint gets pushed around by the air before it has a chance to dry, creating vein-like patterns on the surface. On the other hand, too little pressure from too far away can cause speckling. Tiny dots that break up the smooth finish we are aiming for. This can happen when the paint is too thick or if it starts drying in mid-air before it even reaches the model. So what is a good starting point? Try working at around 25 to 35 psi. It is a solid middle ground. Now here is a simple practice drill. And remember, we are still using just water, so there is no risk. Start by spraying from a medium distance, then try moving in closer and pulling further away. Repeat the same movements using higher pressure and again with lower pressure. And each time vary how far you pull back on the trigger to control the paint flow. Through this exercise, you'll start getting a feel for the ideal spraying distance, how far to pull the trigger and what pressure range works best for you. And don't forget, keep practicing that down, back, forward, up motion. Once it becomes second nature, it will save you a lot of frustration down the line. If this is helping so far, consider hitting the like button. It really does help the channel reach more painters. And if you want more tutorials like this, subscribe or ring the bell so you don't miss out. Once you're comfortable with the motion and basic control, it is almost time to move on to real paints. But before that, we need to learn how to properly thin them for the airbrush use. You will find paints specifically made for airbrushing that are ready to go straight from the pot, as well as pre-thinned but highly pigmented options like inks or contrast style paints. If you have those or the budget for them, great. But if you're like me and already have a collection of regular paints, let's learn how to make those work instead. Now, while you'll often see people use products like flow improver or thinner, the truth is plain water works just fine. That is what I'll be using here. And if you're not sure whether you'll get the most out of your airbrush this way, just know that professional painter Sergio Calvo also thins his paint with nothing but water. So while thinners can be helpful, they are far from essential. So, you got your paint and your water. Now what? Personally, I like to mix them in an old blister pack, something I picked up from another pro painter, Angel Giraldes. While many painters mix directly in the airbrush cup, this is a beginner's guide, and we are learning a new tool. So let's not cut any corners. Mix your paint outside the airbrush to avoid clumps and make sure you are getting a proper, consistent blend. Now the big question, how much water should you add? If you are using Citadel or Vallejo paints, I recommend starting with 1.5 parts of water to 1 part of paint. But if you have a big collection, you'll notice that some paints are thicker while others are more runny. For example, Old Vallejo versus the new formula. That will affect your ratio. And it's another reason mixing outside the cup is great. You can fine-tune your mix without risking clogs or dried up paint inside your airbrush. In general, you'll find the sweet spot is somewhere between 1:1 and 2:1 water to paint, depending on the brand and consistency. More dilution can even be an advantage when you're glazing or applying filters, which we'll talk about later. Now it is finally time to put some paint on a model. The simplest and most common first step is priming. So I'm going to dilute some black paint and give this model an even coat all around. And remember, down, back, forward, up. Now that the model is primed, we could stop here. But since we got an airbrush, let's go a step further and turn this into an advanced priming with some Zenithal highlights. For that, we'll need some white paint. But first, we have to clean out the black we just used. Here is how I do it. First, rinse out the leftover paint in the cup. Then, spray some clean water while moving the needle back and forth until it comes out clear. Another method I like goes like this. Lower the pressure. Dip the airbrush tip into a water cup so it pulls water into the reservoir, then pull back the needle while spraying. This circulates water through the system until it's clean. Also, check the airbrush tip. If there is any buildup, pull back the needle and gently clean it with a Q-tip and some isopropyl alcohol to prevent clogging. Now I'll load in the white and spray from above, hitting only the upward facing details. This gives us an even layer of light without flooding any recesses, creating a natural light map to guide us in the next painting steps. I won't go too deep into base coating with the airbrush. There is not much to it besides practice. Instead, let's look at two other easy but powerful uses of the airbrush. First up, shadows. This is basically the opposite of our Zenithal highlight. I'll use a model I previously featured on the channel. Right now, both the highlights and shadows are sitting at the same value. So I'm going to mix a dark color, dilute it a bit more into a glaze consistency and test it first, making sure it sprays smoothly and builds up slowly. Then I'll spray from below to add shadows. This increases the contrast and makes the highlights pop by deepening the surrounding shadows. Second, a quick tip using this Deathwing Terminator. This model was meant for a sponging video that didn't pan out. The recipe was off and I missed that classic bone color. But I don't want to start over, so I'll use the airbrush to fix it. I've already established some volume and shadow with the sponge, and I want to preserve that. So I'll dilute some sepia ink and spray a light even coat over the whole model, essentially filtering the white and shifting the overall tone. It is a quick way to harmonize the color without covering the work we've already done. If you are interested in the airbrush I've been using throughout this video, it is the Mobius 0.2 from Gaahleri. There is an affiliate link in the description, so if you are thinking of picking one up, that's a great way to support the channel at no extra cost for you. This video wasn't about flashy results, it's all about getting you comfortable with the basics: airbrush control, paint dilution, and understanding pressure and distance. If you found it helpful, let me know what you'd like to see next about airbrushing. I'm planning more videos and your input helps me shape them. And if you are new here, I've also got beginner-friendly tutorials covering oil paints, pigments, rust effects, and more. Feel free to explore the channel. For now, thank you for watching and I hope to see you in the next one.